This is a 2006 Toyota Avensis with a 2.2 4-cylinder diesel engine, 150 brake horse and a 6-speed manual gearbox. We're going to replace the rear discs and pads. Once the car is jacked up, release the handbrake. To get the caliper off, there's two 13mm bolts, one there and one there. Now you can just use a 13mm spanner, but this is a 9-year-old car and these have probably never been taken off before. Use a 13mm shallow impact socket to release this bolt here. Might do actually. Just be careful of the brake pipe here. Don't go too far when you're using the ratchet. You'll see as soon as I take this off, this is just a rubber hose, so you don't want to leave this dangling because that'll put stress, because it's not the lightest thing in the world. So I'm going to use my tool to just hang this up. This is my special tool, it's called a paint can hook. I got it for £1 from Wilco. Yeah, so you can see there, it just takes the stress off the rubber hose in case it ever fell off here. Okay, so the caliper off, you can take. Now you can see straight away these look like the original pads because it says Toyota Bosch, so that will be the 9-year-old that's been sitting there. So let's get a screwdriver. Okay, and there we go. You can see there's pad line on that side, on the other side there's nothing. So it's been metal on metal, so that's what the grind noise, and you can see the groove all the way around the disc there. Use a 14mm shallow impact bar on this bolt here. This may need to be hammered on due to the amount of corrosion that's taken place over the years. And the other bolt, 14mm bolt, just there. Great. Absolutely solid that is. So once you've taken all the brake caliper assembly off, you're just left with the disc. Now then, what you need to do is pull this disc off. Now this one's come off very easily, but if for some reason yours doesn't, you need to try and get this this rubber bung here right at the bottom of the wheel, and I'll show you why now. Take off the rubber bung. Rubber bung there. Now because the drums are pushing that way when you park up for your handbrake, it means that they're grabbing on to this, and over the years the springs in there won't be as effective, so you need to collapse this drum in order to take the disc off. So what you do is, that's why they've created this peephole, so you can stick your screwdriver in there and there's a ratchet. Now it needs to go that way around, in order to collapse it, until eventually it's loose enough to do that. I'll just zoom you back in there. So when you're putting your screwdriver through the hole, you're effectively pressing down on that ratchet there like that, and you can actually see the drum assembly retracting when you do that. When we come to put the new drum back on, we will need to reverse it because it's not an auto adjust setup, so we will have to look at how much slack is on handbrake when we pull it up in order to gauge how much more we need to increase this manually with this. Before I put the new disc on, I'm just going to clean up the shoes. Now what I use is a little bit of emery cloth here. It doesn't matter too much as long as it's a fine one. It just adds a bit of friction when the brakes are used next, when the handbrakes apply next. I'm using APEC discs and APEC brake pads, and I purchased these from Halfords for £88 for a pair of discs and a pair of brake pads. So the £88 is for the full axle. This is an APEC DSK 2716. I'm going to apply a bit of copper slip now. There. Right, I'm going to try and put the new disc on. Put it on. There we go. As you're putting the brake assembly on, just make sure you can see the ratchet through the hole. Now what I'm going to do is put a nut back on, just to make sure this doesn't fall off while I'm testing the handbrake. Remember, we're not testing the foot brake, which is the disc, the pads that will go against this disc. We're checking the handbrake, the internals of here. So don't press your foot brake, we're going to test the handbrake now. Count how many clicks you have on your handbrake. So I've got 10 there, and 10 is too much really. You want to be aiming for between 3 and 5. So I'm just going to nip that ratchet up a little bit. Remember that you can adjust your handbrake from near the handbrake lever, but it's best to do as much adjustment as you can while you've got the disc off. You want to be adjusting the drum assembly inside so that you can't turn this round with one hand. Right, now to put the caliper housing back on. So basically this has to line up there, like so. And these are what we're going to stick in the holes. We're going to actually tighten it with less torque, so to make sure you use less torque, use something not as long as what you used to take it off, and therefore you won't over tighten it. Nice and tight. Before putting the pads in, I'm just going to put a bit of copper grease in there and in there. That just allows the pads to freely move back and forwards. take your time putting these in so you don't put them in the wrong side or the wrong way around, or so one side and the other. There. Now the other side, and for the other side. Both sides in. Copper slip allowing it to go back and forwards. You will hear a slight chafing noise there, that's normal. Now you'll notice the caliper will simply not go back on now. Now that there's more width to these, to the disc and the two pads, you can see this piston has to be pushed back in. So here I've got a G-clamp which is going to push this piston back in. I'm going to do it very slowly. Now you don't want to push it too far in because you don't want to tear this rubber bit. You just want to push that metal bit to get it over the two pads and the disc. Okay, so I've pushed that in enough for it to get over there. But just before I put this on, I'm going to put some copper slip wherever these fingers make contact with the pads, and on the other side I'm going to do a circle around here of copper slip. Right, now with the copper slip on, slip the caliper over, push the this little cylinder in here so I can get that over, and at the bottom. Okay, 13mm. A little bit fiddly, but once it catches grip, that's it. And the bottom one. Okay, and now the bottom one. Again, we took them off with a power bar. I'm going to put it back on with 13mm spanner. And there's just enough leverage. Wrong way. There'll be enough leverage there. Before we do the other side, one important thing is to press the brake pedal, and this will make sure the piston comes out as much as it can, and then we can do the other side. If you don't do that, if you have both pistons on both sides, the oil will be forced out the reservoir and go into your driveway. See, it almost goes to the floor immediately, but there, it's rock hard there now. Okay, we can do the other side now. Okay, that's the discs and pads done. I'll be putting the wheel back on. Just before I put the wheel on, I'm going to put a bit of copper slip on the contact area where the wheel will go onto this part of the disc. It doesn't have to be a lot, just as long as there is a thin film. So if you ever need to change your tyre, your wheel, your brakes in the future, it comes off a lot easier. Again, a little bit on the wheel studs, and there we go, job done.